The planet was called Lyra. It was small, green, and peaceful. Its people, the Lyrans, had no warships, no armies, and no enemies. They believed the galaxy was kind. That belief died the day the sky turned red. Huge black ships fell from space like monsters. They were cold, silent, and made of metal. The Lyrans had never seen machines like this. The ships did not speak. They did not send a warning. They just opened fire. Cities burned. Mountains broke. The oceans boiled. The Lyrans screamed into the stars. They sent a distress signal on every known frequency. "Please, someone help us." The message was short, desperate, filled with fear. The signal traveled across space. It passed many worlds. It reached the Galactic Council, a great alliance of powerful races. They read the message. They saw the fire on Lyra. But the council did nothing. They sat in their tall golden towers and shook their heads. "Lyra is not a member world," one counselor said. "They never signed the Unity Charter," said another. "Not our problem," said a third, and the room agreed. Lyra's cries echoed through space and were ignored. But space is wide, and the signal did not stop. It traveled past dead moons and forgotten satellites. It passed through debris fields and dark nebulae. And then it reached Earth. In a quiet corner of the planet, deep inside a mountain, was a human listening post called Echo Station 9. It was a boring job. The people there usually listened to old radio waves, star static, and cosmic dust. Nothing exciting ever happened. Until that day. A woman named Dr. Rachel Lynn, a signal analyst, leaned over her console. Her eyes narrowed. She pressed her headset closer to her ear. "This isn't normal," she said. Her colleague laughed. "More star static." She didn't smile. "No, that's not background noise. That's a scream." She boosted the signal and cleaned the sound. And then they heard it, clearly. "Help us. Please. They are burning our world. We have no weapons. We have no hope. Is anyone out there?" Everyone in the room went silent. The message was sent up the chain. From Echo Station 9 to Earth Defense Command. From there to the President's desk. No one on Earth had ever heard of Lyra. But they heard their pain. And Earth did something the Council would not. They answered. Earth did not send an army. Not yet. They needed to know what they were dealing with. The enemy was unknown. The situation was dangerous. So they sent a ship. Not a warship, but a stealth ship, small, silent, and fast. Its name was the Whisper. Its mission was simple. Get in. Watch. Record. The Whisper jumped through space. It passed old colonies, broken satellites, and dying stars. As it approached Lyra, it went dark. No lights, no signals, just shadows. The crew of the Whisper were elite, trained to observe, to stay hidden. But even they were not ready for what they saw. Lyra was in ruins. The cities were gone. Ash filled the sky. The green fields had turned black. Fires burned across the planet's surface. Orbiting above the planet were the enemy ships. Massive metal beasts with glowing red eyes. They had no flags, no symbols. They looked alive, but they were machines. The Whisper stayed silent. It recorded everything. One of the crew whispered, "What kind of monsters would do this?" The captain replied, "Not monsters, just machines, but someone sent them." Back on Earth, the footage was received. People watched in horror. Lyra wasn't just a destroyed planet. It was a warning. The president met with the leaders of Earth's nations. The Council of Planets had failed. Earth was alone. But Earth had something the others didn't, the will to act. And in the shadows of space, on a ship called the Whisper, a final message was sent to the Lyran surface. "We heard your call. You are not alone anymore." The stealth ship the Whisper stayed in Lyra's orbit for 2 more days. It moved like a shadow, silent and unseen. Every hour, It recorded more destruction, burning forests, dying cities, and strange patterns left by the metal beasts. But it also found something else, a hidden data tower deep under the ground, still online, still sending signals. The humans tapped into it. Inside was something shocking. Lyra had sent more than just a cry for help. They had sent evidence. Video clips of the first attack, maps of enemy movements, warnings, desperate ones. And attached to that data were reply codes. The Whisper's AI began decrypting them. And slowly, the truth came out. The Galactic Council had received the warnings. Not just once, 5 times. They had ignored every message. One of the humans said, they knew, and they did nothing. The captain clenched his fists. This isn't just negligence. This is a cover-up. Back on Earth, the data was shared with top officials. The president watched the council's reply logs. Cold, heartless. Lyra is not a protected world. Engagement risks political conflict. Do not respond. Earth now understood something terrible. The Galactic Council had chosen silence over justice. They wanted peace, but only for themselves. The weak, the small, were left to die quietly. Earth's leaders were furious. They had always believed the galaxy had order, fairness, cooperation, but now they saw the truth. The Council had built a system that protected power, not people, and they had let Lyra burn to avoid conflict. One general said, "If this is peace, we want no part in it." The president nodded. "Then we make our own path." Earth didn't declare war. Not yet. But they began preparing. Satellites were launched. New listening posts activated. Intelligence teams spread across the stars. Earth would watch the Council, and they would speak the truth the Council tried to bury. Back on Lyra, the Whisper made a dangerous move. It descended into the ruined atmosphere behind a smoke cloud and landed in a dead valley. The crew wore armor and scanned for life. Most signals were weak, some were gone, but one was strong. A bunker, buried deep. They opened it. Inside were survivors. 30 Lyrans, hungry, dirty, but alive. Their eyes filled with fear when they saw the humans. But the captain knelt and said softly, "We're here because you called. You're not alone." The Lyrans cried. They thought no one would come. They thought they were already dead. But now, they had hope. The humans gave them food, water, and medicine. Then they showed them something else. The footage. The Lyrans watched their own messages. Then the Council's replies. Cold words. No help. One Lyran elder said, "We trusted them. For years." The human nodded. "So did we." One younger Lyran stared at the sky. "What happens now?" she asked. The captain looked up too. The stars were dark. Then he said, "Now, Earth speaks, and we don't ignore cries." That night, the Whisper launched again. It flew high above the ruins, avoiding patrols, and sent one final message to Earth. Survivors found. Data confirmed. Council knew. Preparing next steps. And far away, in the shining heart of the Galactic Council, someone received an alert. They opened a file, saw Earth's name, and whispered, "So," they answered. The stars were silent. The Galactic Council said nothing. No reply, no apology. They had been exposed, but they acted like nothing happened. Earth had sent them proof, the recordings, the cries for help, the survivors, the lies. And still, silence. But Earth was not waiting anymore. This time, Earth would speak to everyone. From their command center, Earth launched a broadcast. It wasn't just for the Council. It was for the whole galaxy. A message sent across public networks, old trade beacons, and forgotten satellites. Wherever there were ears to listen, Earth's voice would be heard. A human woman appeared on the screen. Calm. Direct. This is Earth. We received a signal from a world named Lyra. Their people were under attack. No one came, except us. Then came the video clips, Lyra's burning sky, the screaming messages, the council's cold replies. And finally, the words, "We are not rulers. We are not saviors, but we do not ignore pain. If your world is in danger, call us. We will answer." That message echoed across the stars, on lonely planets, in crowded stations, in secret rebel cells. People listened, people watched, and people remembered. Because this wasn't the first time the council ignored someone. It had happened before, quietly, secretly, but no one had ever dared to speak up. Until now. On one mining world, an old trader turned to his son. "I remember when our colony begged for help during the food riots. No ships came, not even a message. Maybe Earth is different." On a small moon, a group of exiles played Earth's broadcast again and again. One of them whispered, "They came for Lyra. Maybe they'll come for us too." And somewhere far from it all, in deep space, the metal beasts listened too. The machines didn't speak in words. They spoke in signals, cold and sharp. And now, they had a new target, Earth. Back on Earth, the response was immediate. Thousands of messages flooded in. Small worlds, isolated colonies, hidden settlements. They all had the same request. "Please, help us." Some were starving. Some were hiding. Some were already under attack. Earth couldn't save everyone. But they would not turn away. The president called a meeting with the Defense Council. "We have made a promise," she said. "Now we must keep it." A new task force was born, Project Echo Shield. Their mission: identify, protect, and support vulnerable worlds. Not with conquest, but with courage. Meanwhile, the Whisper returned to Lyra, this time with supplies. More survivors were found. Small groups hiding in caves, tunnels, ruins. The humans gave them food, shelter, and hope. But also training. Because Earth knew something important. If you want peace, you must be ready to fight for it. In the bunker, a young Lyran boy stared at a human rifle. He didn't touch it. Not yet. The human beside him, a soldier named Mason, said gently, "It's not just a weapon. It's a promise. You don't have to be helpless again." The boy looked up. His eyes were not full of fear anymore. Only fire. Elsewhere, other Earth ships moved in silence. Scouts, medics, engineers, not conquerors, but witnesses. They went to worlds the Council had forgotten, places where people lived in fear. And Earth listened. The Council could no longer hide. Their lies were exposed. Their silence was dangerous. Some member races began to ask questions. Why didn't we help Lyra? Why does Earth, a new world, show more courage than us? Fear began to grow, not of Earth, but of change. In a secret chamber, the High Council met again. One member said, "Earth is reckless. They will destabilize everything." Another replied, "No, they're doing what we refuse to do." The Council had a choice: accept Earth's rise, or try to stop it. They chose the latter. Back on Lyra, the Whisper crew received a warning. Unmarked ships, unknown energy readings, moving fast. The enemy was returning. And this time, they weren't alone. The captain stood tall. "Tell Earth we've been found. Tell them we're staying. We will protect these people." A soldier asked, "Even if it's just us?" The captain smiled. "Then we'll show them what just us really means." The map was clear. Lyra had been the first world marked. Now, Earth was next. The beacon, hidden deep inside the wreckage of an enemy ship, showed the galaxy's most vulnerable points. It was a trail of destruction. The list of worlds the metal beasts had already destroyed, or planned to destroy next. And Earth's name was at the top. On Earth, The president watched the transmission. "What do they want with us?" she asked, her voice steady but grim. A top advisor, a former military general, answered, "They want to stop us before we get stronger. They're testing us." She nodded, her eyes narrowing. "Well, let's show them what happens when they test us." The news spread quickly across Earth. Governments, military leaders, civilians, everyone heard the message. Earth was now on the front lines. But Earth wasn't afraid. The next day, the first fleet of Earth warships gathered in orbit. A massive force of destroyers, cruisers, and support ships ready to defend their world. The captain of the Resolute, the flagship of Earth's defense, stood on the bridge. He gazed out at the stars, his hands folded behind his back. "Prepare for full battle readiness," he ordered. "If they come, we'll show them that Earth is ready." His crew moved swiftly. Everyone knew the stakes were high. Meanwhile, deep in space, the metal beasts were watching. They moved in silence, their ships blending into the stars. The galaxy had grown quiet since Earth's last victory. No one knew if the enemy was still lurking, planning their next strike. But Earth wasn't waiting. They were on high alert. Back on Lyra, the Whisper crew continued their work. They repaired what they could, trying to help the Lyran survivors rebuild. But their work was interrupted by an unexpected transmission. It was from the Galactic Council. The message was short. "Earth has broken the peace. Prepare for the Council's judgment." The crew stared at the screen. The Council had sent their judgment before. Silence. Indifference. Now, Earth had broken their rules. But the humans were not afraid. "We don't need their judgment," the captain of the Whisper said, his voice firm. "We already know what's right." The first enemy ships appeared in Earth's orbit 3 days later. They were massive, black and smooth, like shadows from a nightmare. Earth's defense fleet moved into position immediately. The Resolute led the charge, flanked by the other warships. The enemy did not speak. They did not make demands. They opened fire. The battle began. The ships exchanged fire, blasts of energy tearing through space. The Resolute fired back with powerful beams of white-hot light, cutting through the enemy's armor. The other Earth ships engaged as well, sending drones into space to defend against the metal beasts. On Earth, people watched the battle unfold on their screens. News channels broadcast the fight live. Some held their breath. Others stood tall, ready for whatever came next. Back in space, the Resolute took a hit. A blast struck the side of the ship, sending it tumbling. But the captain remained calm. "Status. Shields are down to 60%. Weapons are still online," his officer reported. "We're taking damage, but we can hold." The enemy ships came again, but Earth's forces were ready. The battle lasted for hours, with Earth's ships pushing back the metal beasts, one strike at a time. Finally, after a brutal exchange, the last enemy ship exploded in a burst of light. Earth had won, but the victory was not without cost. The Resolute's crew stood on the bridge, looking out at the battlefield. The stars were quiet once again. "We've made our stand," the captain said softly. "But this is only the beginning." Back on Earth, the president addressed the world. "We've shown them that Earth is not just a world to be ignored. We are not weak, and we will not be silenced." She paused. "But the enemy will come again, and next time, we'll be ready." As Earth celebrated its victory, the Whisper crew received a final transmission. It was from the Galactic Council. "The Council demands Earth's submission. You have broken our peace. Your actions will have consequences." The crew stared at the message. The threat was clear. But the captain of the Whisper smiled. "They can try, but we'll stand our ground." The message from the Galactic Council was clear. Earth's actions have consequences. But Earth wasn't afraid of the Council's threats. The galaxy had been watching, and Earth had shown what they were capable of. They had made their line in the stars, and now they were preparing for whatever came next. On Earth, Military leaders held urgent meetings. The president addressed the United Nations, speaking to the people of Earth. We've defended our home, and now we prepare for the future. The Council will not stop until they break us, but we will not back down. We will fight. The human fleets began to build. Ships were constructed at a pace never seen before. Dozens of warships, cruisers, and destroyers were launched into space. More soldiers were trained, more weapons developed. Earth was ready for war. But no one knew what would happen next. The Galactic Council was powerful, and they had the resources to crush any world that defied them. Earth was still a young power, a small world in the vast galaxy. Meanwhile, the Whisper's crew had returned to Earth. They were hailed as heroes, their mission a success. They had not only saved the Lyrans, but also exposed the truth about the Council's corruption. They had become symbols of hope for worlds all over the galaxy. The captain of the Whisper, now standing with Earth's leaders, spoke gravely. "They'll come for us," he said, "but we will not be alone." He was right. The galaxy was starting to take notice. Those who had been ignored, abandoned, or oppressed by the Council were beginning to speak out. And Earth wasn't the only one who was ready to fight. In the shadowy corners of the galaxy, rebellion was stirring. On forgotten moons, hidden stations, and even inside the Council's own member worlds, voices were rising. One by one, systems that had once been silent began to send their own messages to Earth. "We stand with you. We will fight together." The resistance was forming. Back on Earth, the president held another speech, her voice steady and strong. "The galaxy is with us. We are not alone. And together, we will show the Council that they cannot control us. We will stand tall." But as the storm gathered, something far more dangerous lurked in the shadows. In the dark, cold depths of space, the metal beasts were not idle. They were watching Earth's every move, planning their next strike. And their plan was far more than a single invasion. They were gathering forces, preparing for an all-out war against the galaxy itself. In a hidden station at the edge of known space, the leader of the metal beasts stood in front of a massive screen. Their voice was cold and emotionless, yet it carried an unmistakable promise. "This galaxy will bow to us. We will break Earth. We will break them all." The enemy was organized. The metal beasts were not just machines. They were a vast, ancient force with a plan to dominate the stars. And now, they had a new target, the heart of the galaxy, Earth. On Earth, the military continued to prepare. Earth's ships were strengthened. They were armed, but they knew this would not be an easy fight. They needed allies, and the resistance movements across the galaxy were their best hope. The president issued an order. "Join the resistance. Unite the galaxy. Prepare for what's coming." The first strike came suddenly. Earth's sensors picked up multiple enemy ships moving toward their solar system. It was happening. The war was beginning. As Earth's defense fleet readied itself, the Whisper took off once again. They were not going to wait for the enemy to arrive. They were going to meet them head-on. The crew of the Whisper stood together, preparing for their most dangerous mission yet. "Are we ready?" the captain asked. "We're ready," the crew replied. And as Earth's ships flew into the stars, the metal beasts moved closer, like a shadow descending on a world unprepared. The space around Earth lit up with energy as the two forces collided. Explosions rang out. The first of many battles had begun. But this was only the beginning. Back on Earth, people watched in silence as the stars flashed bright with conflict. The sky above was no longer peaceful. It was filled with the sounds of war. But Earth was ready, and Earth would never surrender. The president stood in front of a hologram of the galaxy, showing the moving ships, the stars, and the dangers that awaited. "We will not be divided. We will stand together, and we will fight until the last." The war had come. The sky above Earth was filled with the flashing lights of battle. The hum of engines and the roar of weapons echoed through the stars. The metal beasts, their ships massive and cold, had arrived at Earth's doorstep. But Earth was ready. In the heart of the conflict, the Resolute led the charge. Earth's flagship moved through space, surrounded by dozens of warships. The fleet wasn't just fighting to defend Earth, they were fighting for the entire galaxy. Back on Earth, the President stood before the United Nations. Her voice was firm, her eyes full of resolve. This is not just about Earth. This is about all the worlds the Council and the metal beasts have abandoned. This is about freedom, and we will fight for it. The President's words echoed across the galaxy. Resistance groups, once small and scattered, now rallied behind Earth. The alliance was growing. Worlds that had once feared the Council now stood alongside Earth's forces, united in the fight for survival. On Earth's ships, the atmosphere was tense. The fleet had launched in the early hours, and now they were on their way to face the enemy head-on. The captain of the Resolute, standing on the bridge, stared out into the vast expanse of space. "We knew this day would come," he said, his voice steady. "We knew they would try to break us. But we'll show them what happens when they mess with humanity." The crew of Earth's fleet nodded in agreement. They had fought together before, but this time, the stakes were higher. This time, it was not just about survival, it was about defeating the enemy once and for all. In the deep void of space, the metal beasts prepared for the final blow. Their fleet was vast, their machines endless, but there was something they didn't account for: Earth's will. The metal beasts had underestimated humanity's strength. They had thought Earth was just a young, weak world, easily crushed, easily forgotten. But they had been wrong. Now, Earth's fleets were moving to meet them, and the metal beasts would find themselves facing more than just guns and ships. They would face the human spirit. The first clash was brutal. Explosions rocked space as Earth's fleet fought back against the enemy. Beams of light tore through the darkness, ships collided, and the stars above became a battlefield. The Resolute led the charge, pushing forward with its massive cannons, firing shot after shot at the enemy fleet. The metal beasts returned fire, but the Earth ships were ready. Every blast, every strike, only made them stronger. Meanwhile, on the ground, humans and their allies prepared for the worst. The metal beasts were sending their drones to attack Earth's cities, but the people would not back down. Soldiers, civilians, and resistance fighters all stood together, ready to defend their home. Sergeant Mason and his team were already in position. "We've trained for this. We're not going to let them take our home," he said, his eyes hard with determination. The battle in space raged on. The Resolute took a heavy hit, but it wasn't out. Earth's fleet fought with everything they had. They fired back with everything they had. And slowly, piece by piece, they began to tear the enemy apart. The metal beast ships, once invincible, now began to crack and crumble. The tide was turning. Then, something unexpected happened. A massive ship appeared in the distance. It was different from the others. Larger, more powerful. The flagship of the metal beasts. It was coming straight for Earth. The Resolute's captain turned to his crew. "Prepare for the final assault. We finish this here. We finish this now." The final battle began. The flagship of the metal beasts fired everything it had at Earth's fleet, but the humans didn't retreat. They pressed forward, cutting through the enemy ships with incredible force. The Resolute led the charge, blasting through the enemy's defenses. Slowly, the massive ship that had been the heart of the enemy's fleet began to break apart. On Earth's surface, the resistance forces fought with everything they had. Cities were under siege, but the people didn't surrender. Human fighters stood shoulder to shoulder with their alien allies, facing the metal beasts' machines head-on. Sergeant Mason and his team were in the thick of it. "We won't let them take this world," he said. "We fight until the last." Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the last of the enemy ships exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The flagship, once invincible, was shattered. Earth had won. In the silence of space, the remains of the enemy fleet drifted. Earth's ships, though battered and scarred, stood victorious. On Earth, the people cheered. The resistance fighters, the soldiers, and the civilians all celebrated together. They had faced the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known, and they had won. The president stood in front of the world, her face a mix of relief and pride. We have faced the darkness, and we have beaten it. Today, we stand as one. Not just Earth, but the galaxy itself, and we will never again be forgotten. The war was over, but the battle for the future was just beginning.